Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another monthly webinar. We are going to talk tonight about mitigation and what it means and what we can do. So just a quick review, our Ready Fairfax program is our preparedness program. We come out into the community, we do a lot of presentations and trainings to educate our community members on how to prepare for emergencies and what they can do to respond to and then also recover from any disaster or emergency. So we're going to resolve to be ready in 2023, but 2023 is almost over, and we have gone through a lot of webinars this year, and I can't believe we're already in November, but we only have a couple left. So tonight we're going to talk about mitigation and the different steps you can take to protect your property. And then in December, we are going to wrap up the year talking about how to make a neighborhood plan and using our 5-step neighborhood guide. So that will be really exciting, and you have a lot to learn for that. So our workshop goal tonight is just to increase awareness about different topics in emergency management and how you can apply them to your life. So I know we see this circle a lot, but this is one of our main graphics that we use to kind of talk about what emergency management is and the phases that we walk through. So when we talk about what we can do, we talk about mitigation, which is tonight's topic, preparedness, response, and recovery. And we have in this wheel on top of it and around it what you can do before, during, and after. And if I haven't explained this before, the mitigation section it crosses over in the after and the before. It's mostly in the before because this is the way that mitigation can be done mostly before, because sometimes we don't know if it is a problem. But it's what we can do to prevent or lessen impacts of future disasters. So making those adjustments beforehand. So what is mitigation? So these are just activities that you can do to strengthen your home. And we'll talk about specific areas of what you can do, but mitigation does work. It does save money. So if you know that you have a flooding problem, rather than waiting and seeing if it really is a problem or seeing how bad it gets, making those investments and spending the money up front will actually save you a lot of money. So a couple things that we can do, we'll identify some actions that we can use to prevent or lessen impacts. They can occur before or after, and they're cost effective. So we want actions that are going to be sustainable and make a difference in either the structure or the social environment of the disaster. So let's talk about flooding. If you have a basement and you know that your basement is either prone to flooding because you're in a flood zone or in a floodplain, then you might want to consider doing some modifications or upgrades to seal your basement walls or using waterproofing material. You might also want to use flood resistant material if you are doing any upgrades or renovations or even building a house. Consider installing a backflow valve on your sewer system to prevent sewage backup. And then also, a lot of people might be in a floodplain. It's not very prevalent here, but if you are in a floodplain, you would want to make sure that you might want to elevate the bottom of your house, or at least put in some of those guards near the doors or the windows, just to make sure that you're preventing the water to come in. Also, and we'll talk about insurance in a minute, but I do want to highlight that flood insurance is not included in your regular renters or homeowners insurance. Flood insurance is a separate policy, and it takes 30 days to go into effect. So you cannot call and get flood insurance if you know that a hurricane or a tropical storm is coming and it's going to rain a lot and you're worried that your basement or your property is going to flood. It just does not work like that. The National Flood Insurance Program, it is managed by FEMA, and there's a public network of insurance companies that do the insurance policies. So the National Flood Insurance Program, it covers flood insurance for the property for owners, for renters, and businesses. So you can always go to their website and look at policies. They have redone the National Flood Insurance Program within the past couple of years, and to make it more equitable for all of those wanting insurance. You can also just start by calling your own insurance provider. They might be one of the companies in the network that actually provides it. So you would want to start there. And as it says in our graphic, just 1 inch of water can cause up to $25,000 in damage. So just think, having flood insurance, if you are in an area that does flood, it could totally be worth it. So what can we do if we are trying to prevent or mitigate fires? One of the best things that you can do is test your smoke alarms. Run drills in your family on a monthly basis. If you are putting together that fire escape plan and reviewing that with your children, make it a drill every month. Test the smoke alarms, test how you're going to get out, grab your emergency kit. Everyone is trainable, even pets. You can even train your pets to go to the door if you want them to meet you at a certain place. So that's really important. The fire department does have a ton of programs through their community risk reduction and their life safety education. You can go onto their website and you can download different floor plans to help you plan your escape route. They also will come out and install smoke alarms to homeowners that might need them. So it's a great program. If you are deaf or hard of hearing, the fire department also does have a program to help assist those who are deaf or hard of hearing to get the proper smoke alarm to make sure that they can be alerted if there is a fire. High winds, these happen all the time here, especially during the springtime and the summer when we have a lot of those thunderstorms come through. We do see a lot of high winds. We've seen several low category tornadoes, so F0s, come through our area in the past couple of years. So we want to make sure that if we know those that type of weather is coming, that you're securing outside items, you are taking care of your property and trimming trees. This also means that you need to pay attention to see if there are any dead trees and take care of them, because you don't want them to fall on power lines or fall on your house or your car and further damage anything else. A couple other things that you can do is reinforce your garage doors. You can install hurricane shutters to protect windows and glass doors, although this is really something that people do in the South where they're really hurricane prone. But if you're feeling extra cautious, that's always something that you can do. And then also make sure that your windows, roof, and garage doors are all secure. So if you're thinking about replacing them because they're old, or you need to caulk around the windows just to reinforce them and stop the breeze from going, it's always a great idea. And then anchor anything that is outside. When you're outside, some people like to leave bikes or stuff on their front porch. Make sure that if you have a thunderstorm that's coming, that you secure those objects and put them away. One of those deck boxes is super good to put all those little trinkets or kids' toys in, just so that they don't become flying objects when that storm does come. And then utilities. So consider having a whole house surge protector. If you're going to do a generator, make sure that you are using it properly, and really making sure that you have the proper techniques to use it, like keeping the generator outside. We don't want to have it inside to cause a carbon monoxide emergency. But we do understand that if you have health and medical needs, that you might need to have a generator or some kind of alternative source for you in case the power does go out. I do want to remind you that you should always report your outage. One of the things that people don't do is that they assume that their neighbors or someone else has reported the outage. Never assume that. Always report it. You can call it in or you can report it online, but make sure that you do report it so they know that it is an issue. In addition, Dominion and Novec, the Northern Virginia Electric Cooperative, they both do have registries for individuals who have disabilities and access and functional needs that use powered medical equipment. So you can always sign up with them to let them know that you do use life-sustaining equipment that requires power so that they are aware of that. And that's another reason why it's super important for you to report that right away. And then also, one of the things that is coming as a pastime is having a landline phone, but having a landline phone could actually really be useful, especially if you have to call 911 during an emergency and the power's out. So keep that in mind. We also here at the Department of Emergency Management and Security, we do use the landline feature if we have to send a reverse 911, which is where our system calls you to let you know that something is either happening in your area and we need you to shelter in place or evacuate, or if there's someone missing in your area. So if you do have a landline phone and it does ring randomly, sometimes it's just delivering a message, and this is through our Fairfax alert system. And then insurance. So like I said before, insurance is super important. So whether you rent or you own, it is just as important to have an insurance policy. As a rule of thumb, we have heard that it is about $10,000 per room that is what contents cost. And if you really think about it, it's probably more than that now as things go up in price. So you want to make sure that you take an inventory of your home. A lot of people will take pictures, they will take videos, but having a written inventory, especially if something is destroyed, is going to make things a lot easier if you have to submit that insurance claim. Without copies of what you've purchased, or at least pictures of what is in your house, it's really hard to prove what you have. So you also need to make sure that you are keeping that up to date. If you get new furniture, make sure a lot of receipts are digital now, so just save them in your email. But that couch that you bought, and I think you've probably heard me say this before, the couch that you bought 10 years ago has a value of probably nothing. You also want to make sure you have replacement value in your insurance. Antiques are great for actual value, but your 10-year-old couch is not. So think about all the things that you have when you bought it, those Teflon pans or that nice new air fryer that you have. If you bought it a year ago, it probably went up in price. So just think about what you're purchasing and what you would need to repurchase if something were to happen. You can keep pictures and your list on a USB. You can keep them, in the cloud, however you want, but make sure that you are maintaining that at least every month or every couple of months so that it's not stressful if you ever do have to use it. Then having financial stability, right? So getting everything that you have together. One of the hardest things when people go through an emergency, especially a fire, or if they are displaced due to either a natural event or maybe an everyday emergency, trying to get all of these documents together, especially in a stressful situation, is really hard. So having copies of all of these in either your emergency kit or saved on a USB or on your drive will make things a lot easier. So when there is an emergency and you have to go replace your driver's license, replace your social security card, replace your passport, a lot of the things that you're going to need are such as your birth certificate, your marriage certificate, all of those things. At least if you have copies, it is much easier to get stuff going as quickly as possible. You can also take pictures and save these digitally as well. That's what I do just because it's a little bit easier for me. But I have scanned them and made sure that I have access, and also having redundancy. So someone that you trust will have access to those as well in case you are not there to be able to access that information. So what is up next? So on December 6th, we are going to talk about what it means to make a neighborhood plan and what you can do using our 5-step neighborhood guide. So this is really taking the next step. Throughout the year, we have talked a lot about what you can do individually, but now we're going to talk about taking that next step and meeting your neighbors and finding out what strengths and abilities and even superpowers they have, and how you guys can all work together if there was a large scale emergency or disaster, and how you can really take care of each other so that the first responders can respond to those who most need it. You might find some neighbors and meet some neighbors that have really special skills. Someone might be a doctor or a nurse, or maybe they have a tree trimming company. And you guys can all work together to make yourselves, stronger. And it's really unique when people actually do use the plan and they figure out who's around them, to really help during those emergencies. So as always, we are here to do presentations and workshops out in the community. So if there is anyone who's looking for that, whether it's an HOA group, a senior center, community center, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, we do it all. You can reach out to our email, but you can also submit a request online. And that's all I have for you tonight, but I hope that you guys have a great night. Stay warm since it's getting cold out. Make sure you have your heaters turned on so those pipes don't freeze. And we look forward to seeing you in December.